Hey guys, it's Becky. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, then welcome. I make videos about making money online through eBay dropshipping. So today's video is going to be about top 10 mistakes people make when they first start eBay dropshipping. So some of these mistakes are going to be mistakes that I personally have made, and some of them are going to be mistakes that I see other dropshippers making really commonly, so I just want to bring them all in one place and bring them to you guys' attention. Number one, the first mistake that I personally made when I started this business is not listing consistently. And this for me was a big one, and it's something that I learned, I'd probably say I learned the hard way, in that what I would do when I first started was I would get really excited and list quite a few items. Then I would see my sales go up, and as soon as my sales went up, I kind of got too overconfident and I would list less or stop listing altogether for a few days. Then my sales would dip, and because my sales dipped, I would get worried and I would start super listing really crazy and really fast, and then of course my sales would go up, and then I would do the same thing and the cycle would continue. So what I realized quite soon was that consistency was key, and that I needed to carry on listing in order to carry on seeing an increase in my sales, which of course makes sense. The second mistake, which I personally made towards the beginning of my business, and it's a really understandable mistake to make, and it was not switching off ever from my eBay business. And it might sound like a good thing to always be like paying attention to your business and always know what's happening and constantly checking your listings, and it is good to stay active. But what I found was that I always had eBay tabs open on my laptop, which is fine. I also had the eBay app on my phone. And when I first started eBay dropshipping, I had a full-time job. And so I would be sat at my desk and I would have my phone facing up. And if somebody buys something, I would see it, which is great because it's exciting. But also if somebody opens a returns case, I also see that because it pops up on my phone. And I'm one of those people who sleeps with my phone by my side, and it's not nice to wake up in the middle of the night or wake up in the morning, check your phone, and the first thing you see is someone has opened a case against you. It really can deplete you after a while, and it's just a part of business, so it's not something that should upset you or make you not want to basically show up for work. It's just that if you're constantly seeing it, it does get really emotionally draining to always have those issues in the back of your mind, especially if it's during a time that you can't do anything about it. So when I would be sat at my desk and I would see that someone's opened a returns case against me, I'm at work, so there's really nothing I can do about it. So there was no need for me to have that notification. The same with a sale. If someone buys something, I can't jump on right now and fulfill the order. So having that on my phone wasn't really a good thing for me. Once I stopped working full-time and I took on eBay as my full-time income, I found that I obviously wasn't at work, but what I was doing is I was spending all day working on my eBay business, but only at like a 50% effort level because I was doing it all day long. So by the end of the day, it would feel like I'd worked 12 hours on my eBay business, which I had, but it only worked at like 50%. So really I'd only worked 6 hours. And I just realized it would be so much better if I just spent 6 hours working on my business 100% and then just switched everything off and didn't do anything else until the next day. The third mistake, which is another one that I personally made, was not hiring a VA soon enough. But I'm gonna pair this with hiring a VA too soon. So I'll start with doing it too early. If you don't know your business in and out enough to train your VA on exactly what they need to do the way you want them to do it, and enough to spot very quickly if they're not doing it properly or the way that you would like them to do it, then it's too early for you to hire a VA. I've seen so many people who are trying to optimize, their titles aren't good, they're not consistent, they're not getting sales, but they want to hire a VA. Also financially, your business should be able to cover the cost of your VA quite easily. It shouldn't be too much of a stretch. This is just if you're using the optimization strategy. I know there's people who use the strategy of having VAs as their kind of thing. So I only talk to the specific strategy I use for eBay dropshipping, which is optimizing your titles. So you need to know exactly how to do that in and out before you hire anyone to help you do that. So the mistake I made was doing it too late. And I mean, it's never too late, and better late than never, but I definitely could have grown my business a lot quicker if I had hired a VA, probably about 3 months earlier than I did. If I'd done it sooner, my business would be a lot further ahead than it is now. So that was mistake number 3 for me. So now moving on to mistakes that I commonly see other people making. Mistake number 4 would be listing the wrong types of product. And this is something that I see very commonly in my coaching students or my course students. When I do store reviews and one of the things I look at is the types of items that they're listing. So while I do think that kind of anything could sell on eBay, when you're drop shipping and when you're optimizing, there's definitely certain categories that you want to avoid. And a big example of this is things like clothes and accessory, jewelry. And I think where a lot of the jewelry stuff or influence or inspiration comes from is because people are getting confused and watching a lot of these kind of Shopify drop shipping, AliExpress drop shipping, where people use jewelry quite a lot as examples, or like dog keychains and things like that. So people oftentimes start with items like this. But yeah, for me, when I'm looking for items to list, a lot of people ask what my criteria is, and it's basically things that are good value. I can add 40% to the price and it still be a good item, and that I can optimize, and I can confidently say I know what keywords to put in a title for this item. Mistake number 5, which actually is one that I have kind of made in some ways, is not keeping a proper track of your profits or your accounting and that sort of stuff. Just not keeping track properly. So as you guys know, you've seen in previous videos, I do have like spreadsheets, and like I'm really detailed in my spreadsheets and keeping them. But in terms of an accounting kind of software, I started using QuickBooks, and I really wasn't keeping it up to date through the year. So what ended up happening was that at the end of the financial year, which has just happened, I just went back and had to manually do a lot of work to get it all organized and in line. It's done now, but it just took so long and it was such a headache. Expenses that I have. So for example, sometimes I'll use a co-working space in the country that I'm in, and that is a business expense because it's basically like renting an office. So if I pay $10 to use a co-working space, I just need to be more organized in making sure that that is recorded. So for you and your business, definitely treat it like a business from very early on, and any business expense that you have, record it and have it all organized, because you don't want to get to the end of the year or the time when it is to pay your tax and just have absolutely no idea what is going on or what you need to pay. Mistake number 6 that I see so many other people making is diving into drop shipping without really understanding eBay. So not knowing what the basic selling rules on eBay are, the big things to avoid on eBay, such as cancellations, ignoring cases opened against you, understanding what eBay likes and what eBay doesn't like. Just taking the time to do your research and know eBay before you launch a business on this platform. It doesn't make sense to launch a business on a platform without understanding how that platform works, the rules that you need to play by in order to work with them. So things like eBay fees, not knowing what your insertion fees are, not knowing how store subscriptions work or why they benefit you. And remember that all of this information is available on eBay. And furthermore, if you're still confused, you can literally just call eBay and say, I'm looking at starting a store. What would be best for me? How much will this cost? How much will that cost? All the information is available to you for free. Mistake number 7 is the shiny object syndrome. And this mistake, again, is one that a lot of people have made. I personally did not make this mistake when I first started, mostly because I didn't really understand any of the other business models and I wasn't really exposed to them. I didn't find out about this all through social media or YouTube, so there was no chance for me to get confused. Somebody introduced me to this particular method and directed me towards training for just this one method, and then I started, and I never looked elsewhere in the beginning, so I didn't have the opportunity to get sidetracked. The biggest way I see people getting the shiny object syndrome, classically you'd be talking about trying different business models, so maybe trying Amazon FBA, trying private label, trying the retail arbitrage aspect of Amazon FBA, or opening a Shopify store, or opening a eBay dropshipping account. That would be shiny object syndrome. But now what I find a lot is that people are getting shiny object syndrome within the eBay dropshipping business model. So a lot of people will start off with the optimization method, and then a couple of days later they find out about sniping. They abandon optimization and they try sniping for a few days. Then they don't have any luck with sniping, so maybe they try using the same eBay store. They'll try and list products from AliExpress or China and list those instead of the domestic retailers that they were using. So it's all within eBay dropshipping, so it doesn't seem like shiny object syndrome, but the point is that you haven't picked a strategy and stuck to it. And yes, there are different things that could work, and you should find the one that works for you. There will come a point where you just have to pick something and go with it. Mistake number 8 is taking advice from strangers on the internet, which obviously sounds rich coming from me. I am a stranger to you guys on the internet, and I give advice on eBay dropshipping. But the reason I say this, and it's something that I never realized before I was on this end of the kind of social media platform, a lot of the people who leave what seems like very confident and informed advice on the comments in YouTube videos or in Facebook groups do not make any money dropshipping on eBay, and a huge amount of them haven't even started. They are regurgitating information that they've heard from other places. The only reason I know this is because I respond to all of my comments, so I see the same names pop up over and over again. And I've mentioned this before, where I've seen someone give advice, which I don't agree with, but I won't say anything, and then a week later I'll see them say something like, oh, I'm really struggling, I'm up to 12 listings, I just don't know what to do. And I'm just like, but you were giving someone really confident sounding advice in another video, not deceiving people, but from the comment it would seem like you knew what you were talking about, and now it turns out that you actually only have 12 listings. And it's not that person's fault, because they never said they were making huge amounts of money, and they, you know, if it's just assumed by the person receiving the information. But it's the reason why I say be careful on who you take advice from. And yes, I'm a stranger on the internet, but there is at least the consistency of you being able to look back at my old videos, see my journey a little bit, and know that I actually do dropship for a living, rather than just a comment that seems confident sounding on a Facebook group. The second thing I'll say about that is you need to understand the difference between facts and opinions. 99% of what I say on my YouTube channel is my opinion based on my experience, so you can take it or leave it. So if I make a video saying that I find these types of products sell better for me, yes, that's factually based, but it doesn't mean that those are the only types of products that can sell. It's just based on my opinion. So you can take that or you can leave it. Where it gets a little bit worrying is when I see people in Facebook groups saying, you don't have to worry about VAT, even as an international seller, you don't have to worry about it until you get to £70,000 in profit. And that is just the most wildly inaccurate statement, first of all. And I just see people responding saying, okay, thank you. And it's like, oh my God, this person is just going to take this information as fact, and it's completely false, and it's about something really important, which is taxes and the law, and you're just taking advice from somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, and that person doesn't know that they don't know what they're talking about, which is even more scary. For those of you who are in the Honest Dropshippers group and have been in there for a while, some of you will know about the fireworks insanity that came up from people not being able to do basic math, but more scarily being adamant that their incorrect math was correct. This is Facebook, that is the internet. There are a ton of strangers who will give you facts and defend those facts like their life depends on it, and they're wrong. If somebody tells you that you don't have to worry about paying VAT until you make 70,000 in profit, you would only have to Google VAT to know that, first of all, it's not even 70,000, it's 85,000 for this tax year, it changes. And then you would know that they're just chatting rubbish and you can just disregard pretty much everything they've said. I don't really mind so much if people say, I'm not sure, but I think, but it's when people just say, this is the answer. And I'm just like, oh my God, no. So don't take advice from strangers on the internet. Do your own research, check your own facts. Even if it's something I say, check it, because it could be wrong. I'm not perfect. These are my opinions. This is just a YouTube channel. Anyone can just turn on a camera and upload videos. I'm not an accountant. I'm just someone who sells on eBay. So check your facts. Mistake number 9. This is a little bit of a detour away from what we've been talking about. Keyword spamming. And keyword spamming is basically when you stuff your title full of keywords without it really making sense. Your title needs to kind of flow in a way. You can't just type in like word, 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 word. It has to kind of flow in a way that somebody might search for it. So don't just like shove keywords in there to try and rank. Baby, chair, red, yellow. It should kind of flow in a way like red children's chair, or something that's just kind of a sentence, a little bit, but not completely because it's a title. Finally, mistake number 10 is not getting help. And this one is not going to be for everyone. There are people who will be able to piece things together from YouTube videos and will put in the time to make sure they've seen everything they need to see and be able to start and run their business in a safe way that they're not going to lose money, and a profitable way, and a sustainable way. That's fine. However, not everybody is the same. There are some people who either don't have the time or just don't want to put everything together, or just need a little bit more structure in the way that they learn in order to learn how to dropship on eBay. So if you find that you're watching all of these videos on YouTube and you're still just not quite understanding how this works and how this part works and how returns works and how customer service works and what happens if they notice the receipt, and if you're not just quite understanding after you've spent some time on Facebook groups, which might be the problem, that you're on different channels, different Facebook groups, listening to people who have different strategies and you're just confused, then I'd recommend that you get help. Either find someone who knows what they're doing and ask them to teach you. Of course, there are courses out there which you can buy. I do have one which is for eBay UK. Link is always in the description. Paul has one from the Hustle Husbands, has one which is for eBay US, and they are both the optimization strategy. For those of you interested in sniping, Mark, whose channel is No BS Dropshipping, I'll put the link in the description, No BS Dropship Training, I think his channel's called. He has a free course for those of you who are interested in sniping. So there are resources out there to help you get started, but if you're just finding that you don't know what's going on, you need to get help, because you don't want to start the business and mess up your eBay account and then have to be doing dodgy things like stealth accounts. It's much better for you to kind of know what you're doing, confidently know that you know how to handle each stage of the business, because it is a very simple business model once you've had it explained to you properly. I would highly suggest that you invest time and or money in a course just to know what you're doing, whether it's my course, Paul's course, or even Mark's free training that he has. Make sure you know absolutely everything that you need to know, at least, before you get started, because I've seen so many people say, hey, I started a month ago and I cancelled 10 items for being out of stock and now my account got restricted. Why? And it's just like, you should have known that like before you got started. That's one of the key things. So it's very difficult to see other people do that. So if you're not sure about what the main things are you need to avoid in eBay, what the main things you need to look out for and make sure that you do are, if you're just not sure how it all works, get some training, get some help. Don't just start completely blindly, because there are some things that you really do need to be aware of. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you like it, then give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos about dropshipping on eBay, and I will see you in the next one.